Greetings, everyone. How are you today? Sorry, I'm a moment late. I had to get my tea. Today, I'm drinking green tea. I hope you've got something warm and cozy to wear and to drink, and you're ready to follow along with me in today's event, where we're going to learn about and sketch a beautiful rabbit that lives in the northern realms of North America, up near where Santa lives. So, this is day 8 of our 12 days of DrawPaintMas, my series of drawing and sketching fun holiday things and wintry things and Christmassy things, plants and animals. And if you've missed any of the events in the last 8 days, you can check them out on my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. And so, let's see. In the next few days, we're going to be focusing. Well, tomorrow is the winter solstice, actually. So it's the shortest day and the longest night. So I thought I would do an evening themed workshop with stars and constellations and a beautiful evening sky. So that's tomorrow night. And we're also going to be doing this beautiful Christmas cactus. Mine is not quite opening its blooms yet, so we're going to be using a photograph. But these always tend to bloom in the wintertime around Christmas. That's why they're called Christmas cactus. And then, of course, on Christmas Eve, we will be drawing reindeer to help them find their way to your home. Okay, so in case you're new here, hi, I'm Christine, and I'm a naturalist, environmental educator, and visual artist from Oregon. And this time of year, for the next 2 weeks, I am visiting Ashland, Oregon. So I'm a little different place than I usually am. And it's beautiful weather here, and I've been hiking and exploring new habitats, including finding these real mistletoes, which, of course, are a plant associated with New Year's Eve. And I'll be sharing with you a previous workshop I did on New Year's Eve. So keep track of that. Hello, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Okay, I'm trying to work on the comments. You always get a few of these. Okay, great. So anyway, so today we are focusing on the Arctic hare because they live in the snow and it's kind of snow season and they live up near Santa's workshop. So that's another reason. Also, one of my students suggested them. So I do have a program called the Nature Notebook Club. It's a monthly membership of nature sketching and journaling. And so the students in that program get extra say in what I teach about. So anyway, one of them suggested Arctic hares. And we've also drawn a few other things that live in this habitat, including snowy owls, which actually prey on Arctic hares. And yesterday we did the balsam fir, which is a tree that lives up near where these guys live. So anyway, my finished drawing is going to be like this. This is the demo. It's on gray toned paper. You can easily buy papers in various colors or get them in individual sheets or in booklets, usually in various natural tones that go well with what you're drawing. And when I'm drawing something that's white, I often like to use a toned paper so that then I can actually add my white intentionally with white charcoal pencils and chalks. And then I also use charcoal, black charcoal. And then the middle ground of the animal, it's not too light, not too dark, that can be the color of the paper. And then I also used one of these blending stomps. So that helps me to blend the colors and make them more smooth. So even if you don't have the ability to follow along, you're watching from your car or on your phone, you can watch again later, but I do suggest maybe sticking around. You will learn a bit about the hares. My theme or philosophy is teaching about nature through the sketching process. There are several types of rabbits that live in the northern realms besides the Arctic hare, but we're going to draw them. But generally up in Alaska and Canada and up into Greenland, you get various hares. Now, a hare is in the rabbit family. So you may have heard of, like a cottontail rabbit. But these are more closely related to jackrabbits. They're taller and they can run faster and they generally have longer ears. They've actually never been domesticated either. None of the hares. And what is that? Alice in Wonderland? Something about the March hare, crazy as a hare. So hares and jackrabbits have never been domesticated. They're generally larger than maybe the cottontail rabbit type of species you might have where you live. And they're able to run. So they're really swift. So they don't just hop, hop, hop like a little bunny rabbit. They have really strong back legs and they can bound and run really fast. And so, again, like I said, there's several species of hares in the northern areas of North America, including the Arctic hare, the Alaskan hare, the mountain hare, the snowshoe hare, and they all look kind of similar. But I chose this one because it's the largest rabbit or hare in the world. These guys get to be as large as a large cat or a small dog. They can actually be up to 15 pounds and 2 feet long. So they're really impressive. And they always have these black tips on their ears. And so this species, the Arctic hare, they live in eastern Canada and up into Greenland and the islands of the Canadian Arctic. And they come as far south as Newfoundland, which one of my students is actually from Newfoundland, and I'm surprised she's not here today, but maybe she'll watch the replay. And so these guys have a lot of adaptations to living in that cold habitat. One of them is they change color. So they'll change color with the seasons and turning white like the snow for camouflage from their predators. And there's a lot of animals that do that in the Arctic, including the Arctic fox and the bird called the ptarmigan and ermines and snowy owls are white as well. But so they turn white to stay camouflaged. And they also have a really big body size. Like I said, this is the largest hare and largest rabbit. And so the larger body size helps them to keep warmth in. And then they actually can, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. They can gain a lot of weight to make them through the winter. And their fat content is up to 20%. And they have a really low metabolism too. So anyway, it's good to learn a little bit about a subject before you start drawing it. Now they have pretty long ears like a jackrabbit, but not quite as long. So their ears are longer than a cottontail bunny rabbit, but they're shorter than a jackrabbit. Now jackrabbits, you may know, like we have jackrabbits in our deserts. They have really long ears, and that helps to disperse the heat as well as to listen for predators. So these guys have a little bit relatively shorter ears. And so when you're drawing them, you have to kind of think about that, their relative size. What else do I want to say about them? Yeah, so they're really swift and they can run like 20 miles an hour, I read. And they have to run away from their predators. There's lots of predators, including snowy owls, deer falcons, bobcats, Arctic foxes, and wolves, especially wolves, ermines. And so they can run quite far, long distance, and quite fast. Now, so those are their predators. What do they eat with the cute little rabbit mouth? Well, all the lagomorphs, which include rabbits and hares and pikas, are completely vegetarian. So they're not rodents. A lot of people think they're rodents, like related to squirrels, but they're in a different order, the lagomorphs, and they're complete vegetarians. And a huge part of their diet is the Arctic willow. But they also eat other woody vegetation, bark and leaves and flower, lichens and mosses. And they've even been known to eat meat, like dead animals once in a while. And so being up in the Arctic, they're really hardy, but they do have pretty hard lives. So they don't live that long, only about 3 years. And they do breed like rabbits. The male and female, called a buck and a doe, they get together in the spring and have a litter. And they just do that on the ground in a little depression. And they'll use depressions to hide as well. And they'll also hide against rocks. So that's in this drawing, I put some boulders in the background to show that they will hide from the wind. And then let's see, when spring comes along, they turn color to get more camouflaged with the browns and gray grasses and other vegetations in their habitat. So they'll change or molt color twice a year. Okay, well, I think we chatted about most of the stuff I wanted to talk about. And now, and please ask me any questions if you have any questions. There was a comment, polar bears. Yeah, oh, well, I don't know. Do polar bears eat them? Maybe they do. I don't think they're fast enough unless they came upon a dead one, but who knows? Anyway, great. Do add those comments. Okay, where am I? Oh yeah, I am trying to now get rid of, I'm gonna share this other picture. And so if I could only find it. There it is. Okay, so there's the rabbit we're gonna draw. And so I'm actually going to draw it on a white piece of paper, just so that you can see my lines better, because it's a little bit challenging to see the sketching on the gray. But just so you see how I finished this. And at the end, I'll just talk a little bit more about adding the charcoal and how I worked that. But I think it would be easier if I used this white piece of paper. And as usual, I never know how to show. Okay, there we go. Okay, move this mistletoe over. Okay, so I'm going to start with just a sketching pencil. And before you start, I really want you to spend a few minutes looking at its proportions first. And then also noticing where the sun is coming from, because that'll be really important when we do the highlights and shadows. So you might notice that it looks like the sun is coming from kind of the upper left, maybe like 11 o'clock. So you see some highlights on the animal's neck and back, and a little bit on its chest on the left side of the picture. And also even on its far rear right foot that's in the sun. And then, of course, you see the shade on much of its body and its lower foot, and then the cast shadow. Oh, speaking of its feet, they have really long claws that are really strong, so they can dig for food and also dig their burrows, especially if it gets icy. And then their toes don't have any pads like a dog or a cat. They're completely covered with fur to give them grip and warmth. And especially the snowshoe hare, which kind of replaces the Arctic hare in the western part of Canada and Alaska, The snowshoe hare has even bigger feet to help it jump farther. So anyway, before we even start drawing, you really want to look at the proportions first. And so just notice how big the ears are. They're taller than the whole face. The face, he or she is kind of looking at us. It's hard to tell the genders, but the females are larger, which is pretty rare within mammals. In most mammals, the males are larger, but in these guys, the females are larger. But otherwise, they're very similar, except for their reproductive parts. But we can't see those right now. So anyway, look at how tall the ears are, and they're kind of in a V shape, and they're tipped with black. And then noticing the face, most of the face is in shadow, kind of a purplish shadow. And they've got big black eyes, and you can't really see it here, but they have big black eyelashes and hairs above and below their eyes, and also big whiskers. Then they got this cute little nose and the mouth, and we did talk about what they eat. But look at how short the face is compared to the rest of the chest. So it's got that big white chest, and it's super furry, and that's what keeps it warm. And then the rest of the body is like a big oval. And then you see the haunches sitting on its haunches. And so that's another oval. And then you see pretty long front feet. Again, these guys run fast. They're not like bunny rabbits, just hopping. They actually run, and they use those long legs to run faster. Okay, so now that we've seen it, we can also kind of, if I measured here, it's taller than it is wide. And so anyway, so taller than wide. Actually, so I could do this, turn it this way. Okay, and so then I'm going to just sort of block out my areas. And I think I'll just start with the head. Now I'm going to draw darker. I don't know if you want me to make this bigger or not. Well, I can't make it totally big because then I can't see the reference photo. For some reason, there's no way for me to show the photo and my drawing. Well, I'll just have to switch back and forth. So I think I'll leave that because that's the biggest for you. Right, so I will make a circle for the head, and I'm just doing really light and sort of where the ears are going to go relatively. And then the rest of the body is sort of like an oval over here. And again, just staying really light because I'm going to want to modify this as I go. And the chest kind of puffs out farther to the left than the head. And this is kind of the way I draw when I'm in the field too. I do most of my sketching in the field, and especially when I'm traveling. And I have led nature sketching trips before. Let's see. So, yeah, so I'm just trying to get, the head is a little bit like an oval there. And so when I'm sketching in the field, I'll just kind of keep moving my pencil. I won't be erasing anything to get my proportions correct. And so I will start off. Can you guys see that? I don't know if you can see that. But anyway, I think we want to just, yeah. So I will just keep it really light. So I want to make sure my ears are in proportion to my head, and they're kind of sticking out. They touch at the tips. And again, I'm just keeping everything super light to begin with. And then there's sort of like a triangle of the forehead. And there's sort of an eye here and an eye here. Now, this guy is looking towards us a little bit more, not completely towards us. So This eye is bigger. So the line of the between the eyes and down to the nose is a little bit like kind of like this. So it's not looking directly at us. And yeah, so I just keep things super light so I can fix them. I think that's going to be about, I want to make sure that I have the right proportions here. It's always harder to draw when you're talking. Sometimes I pre-record these videos, but I just want to make sure my proportions are pretty close. And then the legs are kind of lined up like here and here. Okay, I'm getting hot, wearing too many clothes. Okay, so, and then if I do some measurements, like he's as tall, yeah, he's as tall as he is wide. That's pretty close. Okay, so I think it's gonna be around like this. Okay, I think I have the proportions pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to go darker on my head, and hopefully you'll be able to see it better. Please tell me in the chat box if you're able to watch. Now, so I think my ears are about the right proportion. So yeah, let's start working on our ears. So I'll make it a little bit. The ears seem to be kind of like squared off at the top where that black is, and there's a hole. The ear opening is about like that. And then, you know, these don't have to be exact because they can change turn their ears to listen for predators. So that whole opening will be about like that. Okay, and then coming down to, again, the forehead, kind of got this arch. And since he's not looking directly at us, he's looking a little bit to our left. This eye is going to be a bit bigger. Oh, it's not at the edge. That's right. It's not at the edge because the neck, the neck's going to be here, actually. And the edge of the head is going to be kind of here. And then the other eye is a bit smaller. And then you have the cheek, sort of, the rest of the cheek. So, yeah. Is that? No, I think I'm going to get that eye a little bit higher just because of the way he's angled. And the outer part of the eye is a little bit higher than the inner part. And just come shadowing. Okay, so then to kind of build the rest of the face here, I've got this arch line to help me. And so below the eyes, there's the nose. And I don't know if I can get this any bigger. Oh, yeah. No, that just got rid of me. Okay, and so they've got this cute little nose. It's kind of the nose opening where the nostrils is sort of like a shallow V. And then there's another little line that goes down to the mouth. And then the mouth is kind of an upside down V. And then they've got the chin. And then there's kind of envisioning these two cheeks. Where the where the whiskers will come out. And then again, we see more of the side of the head, the jaw area on this side than we do on this side. Okay. So I just thought I'd show you where I'm at so far. And let's see. Yeah, my ears are a little bit different, but that's okay because again, they can move their ears to listen to other things independently, kind of like a dog or like a horse. And so, yeah, so now I'm just going to darken that. And they've got some kind of black pigment around their nose and their chin as well. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to this. Okay, so now getting the proportion of the rest of the body. So we have the we had the neck coming down here, and then there's a hump. So I probably didn't have that hump. That hump is almost as tall as where the eyes are. So it really helps when you're drawing something to kind of do some aligning of structures, see what's lined up to other parts. And yeah, I noticed that that back is arched a lot more than I had it. And it arches down. There's kind of a really, it's kind of subtle, but there is an angle right here. I don't know if you can see it, but an angle right here where the kind of the bend of the hips are. So it's good not to over round things. Really look, and the more you understand the internal structure of something, the better. So generally when I'm teaching students, I suggest that they go as much as they can to like zoos and aquariums and natural history museums, where there might be a taxidermied specimen and also maybe an articulated skeleton, so you can really understand. But you see how this, there's the neck, and that's one angle, and then there's the back, and I could probably even get that bigger. And then, yeah, right there, there's this little bit of an angle. And that's related to their hips and their rear legs. So there's this arc right here where their hip is inside there. And then you see a little bit of a kind of a shadow of the rest of the leg here. And then that big, strong back foot. And then you might see a couple toes. All right. Okay, so let's see. So that's where we're at so far. If you can, tell me in the chat box if you're following along or just watching. It gets really lonely with no one talking to me, and I don't even know if anybody's here or not. Okay, so then let's do the rest of the chest. And we notice the chest kind of starts, actually we can kind of see the neck behind the whiskers here. And then it comes down, and I think I am going to make it a little bit more subtle. And then it gets really furry over here and kind of goes up here. So you see, I'm not doing too much erasing. And I might have the head a little bit too large relatively, but that's okay. It is hard to get those proportions, and it's always good to know that in the beginning. Okay, so anyway, that's the chest. And then when you place the legs, again, you want to kind of do like a plumb line down to see where they're angled. And so the front leg, which is the rabbit's left leg, it kind of aligns to where its neck is. You see that line there? So you kind of see the elbow of the leg, and then it's really fuzzy. And then you see sort of the toe pads, and there's some nails, something like that. And then, yeah, really furry. And then you see the other leg, and there is some background, some snow between the two legs. And that leg is coming down kind of in line with this eye. And I think I've got it pretty much in the right spot. And so making sure I've got some snow between the two legs. And then it's going to just be a little bit higher than that other leg, just slightly, because it's a little bit farther away. Okay. So again, coming back here. So that's sort of where we're at. And then there's the other leg. We can see the other back leg. It's going to kind of be like this. All right, I think I might do a little bit of erasing here. Get this a little bit closer. But you see, generally I try to leave the erasing to the end, because if you keep erasing while you're drawing, you just might keep drawing the incorrect line. So it's good to kind of leave your try lines. And so I'm just cleaning things up a bit. Okay. Okay, where are we at here? All righty. So anyway, like I said, this is my finished version, but I think I'm just gonna keep working, but just for fun, to show you that it's really fun to draw white animals and plants, like an orchid, you know, on a toned paper, because then you can actually intentionally add the white. But as long as we're on this drawing, we might as well stay with it. So, and then I'll go back to explaining a little bit more about how I did this at the end. So let's look at here. Now we want to really think about our shadowing. But we don't want to do any of that until we get our proportions, you know, fairly close. And like I said, I think I probably got my head a little bit too big, but that's a really common mistake, is people generally draw things larger that they think are more important. And so that's something you really got to be careful of. They've got these big whiskers. But so if we look now at where the sun is coming from, so we're going to start adding some shadows, highlights and shadows. Yeah, again, the highlights don't work as well on the white paper, but we can practice that. So I will start up here in the ears, and I'm just going to use this black charcoal pencil, kind of the same as I used here. I'm just not intentionally adding the white. I'm just kind of trying to leave it, but we'll play with this a little bit towards the end. So, so we notice where the sun is coming from. And usually I have a little sun icon sitting around here, but I'm in a different studio this week, so I don't know where I put it. But you always want to kind of think about where the sun's coming from. And it's coming from behind, above and behind the rabbit. And kind of to our left, or the rabbit's right. So you can pretty clearly see where the highlights are. So we're basically going to more add the shadows and the dark colors. So I'm going to add that black tip, which again, I said hares and jackrabbits differ from regular rabbits in having these black tips, and also running faster and being larger and never having been domesticated. And then the shadow of the ear opening. They have to have really good ears so they can listen for all of those predators, because it can be pretty hard and when it's blowing snow and they can't hear the predators, or if it's dark or the glare is too bright. So anyway, we see then that even though this is a white rabbit, we're going to try to draw the values we see. And then I'm going to do a little bit of drawing, but a little bit of drawing with my blending stomp too, because that can be nice and subtle. So I can start with just, oh, what's going on with this? And this is a really iterative process, meaning it's really easy to add and subtract. So, you know, I can just add some charcoal here, and then I can blend it. And then if I decide, you know, that that's too dark, I can always go in and lighten it, you know, with an eraser. Where are my erasers? Here's an eraser. But anyway, it looks really dark because of the white of the paper, but I could just lighten this again. But what I just try to do is to get a medium value on most of the subject, and then darken the dark parts and lighten the lighter parts. But I really love just drawing with this blending stomp, which already has some charcoal on it. So I see that his forehead is pretty dark because his ears are shading the forehead from the sun. And also, he's darker on this cheek, he or she, because again, the sun's coming from over here. So, you know, there'll be a little bit here, but mostly it'll be lighter over there. Okay. And then it's pretty light over here, but there'll be some cast shadow under his chin, and it'll be darker under the whole neck than it will be the cheek. So I am going to want to add some more charcoal that I can blend. And we want to keep the back really nice and sunny. So I'm just going to blend, and we see that kind of shadowy area. This guy's pretty big, so this would take me a while. Oh, I know what I could use. Just a sec. So my favorite technique is actually, I'll make this bigger. My favorite technique is actually taking a charcoal pencil and pulverizing it. And then I can paint sort of with the blending stomp. And then I won't see all of those lines. Okay. And of course, now it might be a little bit too dark, but I can always lighten it. But I want to keep that back really light until it starts going away from the sun at this part of the back where he's yeah, there's more sun on its back. And then when the rest of the rump is going to be more in the shade. And then if I decided that this is too dark, you know, I can soften with my eraser, or even, you know, with my hand, just blending. And what your drawing looks like also has a lot to do with the tooth of the paper. So I'm using a hot press watercolor paper. Okay. And then like coming down here, the tail was really shadowed because, again, the sun's coming from over here. So the tail is being shadowed by the whole body as well as by this flank. And again, I'm going to use this here. There'll be a shadow under the knee here and kind of a shadow down here. And then this back foot is in full shadow also. Because the whole body is in the way. And I'll add just a little bit of shadow to that far leg, but that's getting a lot of sun. All righty. And then I'll put some shadowing on both legs. But again, this leg is going to be in more shadow. So I can just go like that. All right. And then how are we doing here? Oh, I want to make the eyes really more obvious. And the cute little mouth. All right. Okay, let's see. Let me go back here in case you're drawing. Okay, so going back to looking again, that we've left some highlights over here and over here and over here. And, you know, we could get, again, bolder because even though this is a white rabbit, those shadows are really strong. And that helps you to realize, too, that you're in the bright sun of the Arctic. You know, they live in these open air, treeless areas with super, super bright sun. And so there's going to be really harsh highlights and shadows. Okay, can anybody comment? Okay, so I'm going to go back to this one. This is the one I showed before. So this was my practice version. I had two different rabbits. They were actually from two different photographs, so they were highlighted differently. And so you can just see how I basically did the same pencil drawing, but then I add the highlights and shadows with the white charcoal stick and pencil, and then the shadows with the dark charcoal pencil, and then blended everything with the blending stump. And I decided to add some of these granite rocks in the background. These aren't hills. They live in very flat Arctic plains, but there were some rocks in one of my reference photos. And so this, you can see, you know, it's kind of fun when you're working with white, because you can really intentionally think about where those highlights are and really getting those in there intentionally. So the light is really different from this one. So this one, the sunlight was shining right in its face. And so I've shadowed this one very differently than this one. So these guys would not have been sitting together. These are two different reference photos. I just drew them together. And so hopefully you can really notice where the light is coming from and how it's different in both places. Really harsh, bright sunlight. And I can use this. So like I said, there's several species of hares in the Arctic, and they kind of live near where Santa's workshop is. And they have little slightly different characteristics, but they're all in the same genus, Lepus. And they're more closely related to our desert jackrabbits than they are to a bunny rabbit. And then you see, I liked to add the dark granite rock behind as well, because then I could kind of show how the edge of the white fur is sticking out, where it wouldn't look as good here. Wouldn't look the same here as it does here. It kind of looks more realistic, where you can show that. Okay. Now, I don't know if you guys can see the links I put in the chat box, but there's a really cool gal who also does wildlife drawing, and her name's Danielle Defoe, and she has a really cool website called Animal Logic, and I put a link to that, and that's a really wonderful not workshop, but she went to the Canadian Arctic, and it's a whole story about Arctic hares. So you learn a lot of cool facts about them. And also, again, I'm not sure if you can see these links. Please tell me if you can see these links if you're in the chat box. I put another link to my YouTube channel, a whole workshop I did on drawing desert jackrabbits, and I went into a lot of the biology of them. So more about where they live and their anatomy and stuff. So those would be fun for you to draw as well. And I drew those in different techniques. I think I used a colored pencil for those. Yeah. So anyway, so this is day 8 of our 12 days of DrawPaintMas. Tomorrow is the night sky, because it's the winter solstice with the longest night. So we're going to do a night sky with some constellations and talk about constellations you can see in the wintertime. And then the next day, I think we're doing watercolor trees, Christmas trees, because there's a lot of different species of Christmas trees, firs, Doug firs, pines, spruces, and they all have slightly different colors and shapes. So we'll do those in watercolors. And then we'll do this really beautiful Christmas cactus. And I have a really beautiful photo that shows the very pink flowers opening. And then Christmas Eve, we will do Santa's reindeer, and we'll do a really realistic drawing in pencil of the reindeer. Okay, well, thanks so much for joining me again today, both live and replay viewers, and I hope you're having wonderful holidays. And if you haven't drawn these, I hope you will follow along, maybe in the replay, and just really spend some time focusing on a really light sketch first to get your proportions correct. And then you might want to play around with black and white charcoal pencils on toned paper if you have that. Okay, well, I'm going to get going. It's a beautiful day, and I'm going to go for a hike and do some Christmassy things. So take care. Bye-bye.